Am I the only one that thinks that what Ace did at Marineford was low-key kind of stupid? Like, Whitebeard and the rest of the Whitebeard pirates came all the way out there. I'm talking all the way to Marineford just for Ace to die because of a yo daddy joke. That's low-key what it felt like at the time. And now look at him. He has a donut-sized imprint on his chest. Now, some of you may say that it was justified, you know, he was crashing out for his pops, you know, standing on business for pops. But no, not me. No, hell no. I don't believe that.
And for the longest time, I really didn't. But then, you know, I read his light novel, and then I reread his backstory, which meant I reread that whole flashback, and then watched it in the anime, and it made me think that, like, you know what?
I was being a little bit hard on Ace. And so after doing that and some reflection and some really, like, deep reading comprehension, and I've got a little, more like a lot more respect for Ace. And with that newfound respect, today we are going to be talking, was Ace's crash out justified at Marineford, as well as taking a deep dive into like his head and the character of Ace, just Ace in general. So starting way back from the beginning, Ace was born the son of Gold D. Roger, and yes, he has Roger's blood flowing right through him. And obviously this was going to be causing problems because, you know, he was a son of Roger, and his mother actually was able to hold him in her womb for 20 months. I don't even know how that's possible, like genuinely. Because like, aren't pregnancies like, what, 9 months?
Minimum? Maximum? Yeah. So like, but no, wait. No, wait. That, if he's in the womb for 20 months, that means he was like a year and a half, maybe a little bit more. How is that possible? Her stomach must have been huge. And even then, I know this is an anime, but like, is it actually possible to carry a child for 20? That can't be. There's no way that's actually possible. That child would be huge.
When Ace was finally born, he would always end up hearing like people, you know, the townspeople, the villagers, always talked about how bad Roger was. He was this like devil, this tyrant, that anyone that was even like blood related to him were all just monsters and that they just had no reason to live. And so obviously Ace here and all that, especially at like a young age, it would really just make him question for literally his entire life. Like, what was like the purpose of me being born? Like, everybody wants me to die. Everybody thinks that my father was just like this monster. So like, what is my purpose? What is Ace's purpose of living, basically? So you fast forward a couple years and eventually Ace would end up getting adopted by Garp, and you can almost imagine how that relationship went. Kind of abusive. It wasn't necessarily abusive, right? He would just do this, he would do the same thing to Luffy, you know, they would just get beat with love. Like, your parents ever tell you they were just like, you know, they would just like get the belt, just like beat the absolute shit out of you, and at the end of it be like, I still love you, but like, you know, I just had to beat the shit out of you one time. Or am I just traumatized? Is that really not how like love works? Or is that just black love? Who knows? But yeah, Ace would end up getting adopted by Garp. And obviously he would later on get introduced to Luffy, who he absolutely despised at first. And even when Luffy would try to be cool with him and, you know, like actually be his friend / like brother to him, Ace would literally just continue to like just push him away. It wasn't until Luffy got kidnapped by Blue Jam that Ace started to actually care about Luffy as like a brother, because he was getting ready to abandon Luffy when like Blue Jam kidnapped him. Like he literally was walking out the door. But then he found out that like even though he was torturing Luffy, that like he never ended up giving them the location of their secret base. So after that, Ace walked in there, beat the absolute shit out of Blue Jam, took Luffy, and then like, you know, they were still always like trolling each other and like, you know, like low-key fighting each other, but like Ace actually started to like respect him and love him as like a brother. Fast forward a couple years and it's finally time for Ace to set out to sea, leaving Luffy behind and going to be the pirate that he promised him and Sabo that he was going to be. Trust and believe, it didn't take long for him to get into his first pickle, because one of the first things he did, quite literally, shipwreck on an island, and here he is now on a deserted island alone, or at least we thought he was. Because it's here that he would meet his first crewmate and his best friend, Max Deuce. It took Deuce a minute to get like used to Ace and his like little fiery personality and just like the character that Ace was, but once he got past that, Ace would go on to eat the Marineford no Mi, and eventually they would end up getting off that island together and creating the pirates that we all know and love, these Spade Pirates. And it did not take long for them at all to become the notorious pirate crew that they were, and especially not getting crew members either, because through Ace's fiery personality, his charisma, the way he carried himself, and just his overall recklessness, he would go on to recruit tons of pirates to his crew. The crew would be known for their reckless exploits, and it will make sense that their crew would be known for this because of Ace and his personality. He was known for being reckless, unpredictable, not caring about really anything, and just wanting to just do what he did, what Ace felt was right. And that ambition was what drove him to wanting to become king of the pirates, making people respect him for just being himself and not, you know, just being an extension of Roger's son. And the light novel went so much more in depth on just his personality and just like what really made Ace Ace, because he was never afraid to take on any risk or any powerful foes. And even though he was never afraid to do any of the things he did, and he had this fiery personality and this like reckless exterior, on the inside he was still very much still battling that internal battle that he had with himself since the moment that he was born, of like, is what he's doing really like gonna accomplish anything? Are people still gonna like care whether or not he lives or dies? And does his life even still have meaning even though he's doing all these things? Just leaving him questioning his lineage still with his father Roger, because he had a 500 million berry bounty, he accomplished a lot of things, but in the head he was still basically fucked. and still wrestling with the idea of just his dreams and his goal and ambitions in general, his recklessness and ambitions would drive him face to face with Whitebeard of all people.
And he actually went into this fight thinking that he was going to win it. And my gosh, was he actually wrong. He got fucking rolled. Curb stomped. Absolutely demolished.
And even then, after all that fighting that he did with Whitebeard, he was honestly still able to stand up and was ready to still box Whitebeard, all bloodied up and everything. And Whitebeard saw this, took that into account, still captured him, still captured his entire crew, but it just gave Whitebeard in the back of my mind. He was just like, damn, he was really still standing up, ready to fight me after all that? And after seeing all that, Whitebeard had to ask him to join his crew, but being the stubborn kid that Ace was, he was not having it, and he did not join at first. He would still go on to try and kill Whitebeard over and over and over and over again and fail every single time. But throughout all these failures and just being around Whitebeard's crew, and he would start to understand that Whitebeard's crew and just Whitebeard in general was trying to take him in and show him some love, because they're really starting to respect Ace for just the powerful person he was, and just him even just having the guts in general to take on Whitebeard. And Ace just being able to understand the love and just the overall respect that they had for him as a person was something that led Ace to have something that he didn't have before, which was loyalty. He just felt love and had a reason to live now. But unfortunately, this love and loyalty would end up leading Ace to another beard, a black one. And this black beard was none other than Blackbeard. Blackbeard was a member of the Whitebeard Pirates for a good minute, but obviously Blackbeard's selfish desires would end up with him betraying the Whitebeard Pirates and killing Thatch. This would lead Ace on a path of revenge and wanting to spin back for Whitebeard and the Whitebeard Pirates in general. And some may have seen this as just revenge to Ace, but this wasn't just revenge for Ace. This was more about just standing on business, really just not wanting to let someone like Blackbeard disrespect the Whitebeard Pirates' names and disrespect Whitebeard in general. Whitebeard was ready to just let Blackbeard go and was just be like, you know what, shit happens. Ace, nah, he was not having that. He wanted to send a message that no one can just threaten and try to just tear down Whitebeard or the Whitebeard Pirates legacy in general. And Ace would end up tracking Blackbeard all the way through the New World, finding him, and even though he did find him, he still would end up getting fucking rolled. The Yami Yami no Mi was too much for my boy Ace. His fiery fruit, and it wasn't enough. Blackbeard would end up delivering Ace to the Marines, and this is where Marineford would kick off and ultimately start. So after hearing all that, you're probably wondering why I even thought that Ace was a fraud in general. All Ace wanted was to be loved. He just wanted to find a reason to live. He just didn't want to be connected as someone that was just an extension of Roger's son. And how was I so slow to realizing all of that until I read his light novel? And to be honest, can you really blame me? And I want you to imagine this from not just a plot perspective, but just from a logical standpoint in general. Ace looked up to Whitebeard. He had a lot of respect for every single member in his crew. Why would he let somebody like ykKairu, who was literally intentionally trying to get into his head, get him to the point where it just took him out the game, out the play of just running away, ending up with him just getting a hole in his chest? But to even counter my own point, if tensions are that high and your blood's boiling, you're trying to get you just got saved, your pops just came, everything's starting to go good, and then just ykKairu of all people come out of nowhere and it's like, hey yo bro, your dad, he was really a bitch. That's really what he was. And all of you in this crew, just by extension, are a bitch as well. So if I hear something like that, I'm probably gonna turn around too and be like, hey yo, my man, what'd you just say? And just wanna throw the hands. It's at the end of the day, that's my pride on the line, my crew's pride, my father's pride, and by father, I'm obviously talking about Whitebeard, Pops. That's all their pride is now falling on my shoulders, because am I really just about to sit here and let this Marine of all people sit here and disrespect my Pops? So yeah, it would make sense that Ace would want to fight ykKairu, and even though it would lead to certain death, and it led to his death, and we did get this beautiful panel of Ace though out of all of that, and we get the most iconic line of him saying, "Thank you for loving me," while hugging Luffy there, crying with blood and a flaming fist through his chest. And all that is exactly what I never realized. And I also think a lot of people too miss was just that Ace, all he wanted was he just wanted to be loved. In reality, all Ace wanted to do was be seen by something other than being Roger's son. He needed someone or something to give him a reason to live, and that's all he was searching for. It wasn't really anything about being the king of the pirates or none of that. Really, all Ace wanted was to just be seen. If you made it this far and didn't click off after I said that Ace was a fraud, I love you. Come here. Give me. I'm sorry. That was kind of weird. My bad. He didn't deserve that hate that I gave him all these years. But hey, trust and believe, if I made videos back in the day, I would have made this same video. and then I would have made this video debunking myself as to why Shanks was actually a lot more than what I perceived him to be. So yeah, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe. Please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe, join the Discord and all that, stream, and I will see y'all in the next one.